let's start with the what happened, because Texas A&M 38, LSU 23. The Aggies improved to 5-0 in SEC play, 7-1 overall. We later in the show, when we do tomorrow's top 25 today, we're going to do, rankings, thoughts, where the Aggies move to, where LSU falls to. We've got the quarterback change. I mean, we just have so many different pieces to pull apart from a back and forth heavyweight matchup here. Tom, do you think that Marcel Reed should start the rest of the season for Texas A&M?
No. I think that it is pretty obvious now that what Texas A&M does is it benches its quarterback, keeps him sidelined for a few games, brings him back, and then he balls out, and then he starts to play poorly again, and then you bench him again, and then you bring in the other guy who will ball out. So you play Marcel Reed next week until he starts playing poorly, and then you bring Wegman back in, and so on and so forth, and that's how Texas A&M wins the SEC.
But do you think that this was a part of the commentary during the switch, preparing for Marcel Reed, the potential of Marcel Reed, and then getting caught off guard with Marcel Reed coming into the game? LSU's defense was playing really well. Do we lay some fault at their new rock star hire, Blake Baker? Do we think that this exposes an LSU defense that was playing hard and pretty well coached, but ultimately maybe doesn't have the personnel of the very best LSU defenses that we've seen in recent years? How do you look at what Texas A&M was able to do in the second half? Because they can't play gotcha surprise in every big game. I guess they could against Texas, but I don't think you're going to win the SEC title. I don't think you're going to go far in the playoff playing gotcha surprise.
I have a lot of different takeaways here. First, Marcel Reed did come in and give them a major spark, obviously. Wegman was not playing well. I mean, 6 of 18 for 64 kind of begs the question, why did you not do this a little? 6 of 18 for 64? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's kind of insane to say, but he really just looked off the whole night. LSU was getting some pressure on him. Mike Elko in the sideline interview said they needed to go to somebody whose mobility gave them a chance to withstand the rush. And indeed, he did. I mean, he only threw 2 passes, right? One was an absolute dime to an open guy, obviously, but certainly a nice ball. But his legs did open up the offense quite a bit, both him running it and also the threat of his legs, I thought opened up the A&M, some of that wide zone game they were doing. It looked like they were able to just kind of get like an extra little half hat because the defense had to account for the quarterback's legs, and they ran downhill pretty well. I was very impressed with the physicality and how A&M moved LSU off the ball once they put Reed in there again. Probably just widens the surface a little bit because you have to account for yet another guy who can potentially hold on to the football. So I thought that was really a major key in this game. And look, yes, I don't think we've overestimated LSU's defense. I don't think we've ever said it's elite or very good. It is improved from last year, but it's still not an amazing defense. It still couldn't get enough stops to beat USC. They certainly have given up a good number of stuff at times this year. But also, A&M's defense, they turned it on in the second half, and they made some nice adjustments. But A&M won this ball game, scored 38 points. They had less than 400 yards. Right.
Well, all right. Honestly, so did you see adjustments, or did you see Nuss unraveling? Where do we also lay the credit and the blame when it comes to Nussmeier, who we had even said for a couple weeks now, he makes some throws where you're like, hey, buddy.
Kind of guesses sometimes.
Yeah, and it absolutely backfired here.
I thought A&M did a nice job to take away the stuff between the hash marks in the second half. If you look at it, LSU would kind of widen them out, and they were kind of throwing in the middle, and then the guys would take and run with the ball after the completion. There weren't a whole lot of real deep stuff from LSU in this game, but they had explosive plays. When CJ Daniels goes out and he's wearing the boot on the sideline, that kind of just eliminates another guy who they have who can really play on the outside. So Anderson is really just a slot guy, and so it's Lacey and who? Chris Hilton, 5 targets, 36 yards. Xavion Thomas, 6 targets, 22 yards. Daniels, I was like I said, he got hurt after only 2 targets, 2 catches. And A&M basically made them funnel the ball outside the sticks and to the outside stuff. And like that's where at least two of the picks came, I think, because the third one was kind of weird over the middle ball. And they also started to get a ton of pressure. I mean, they had 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, but it certainly felt a lot more than that in the second half. I'd be interested to see like a first half, second half pressure number breakdown for that A&M defense. And yeah, I thought Nuss played like really poorly in the second half. Ultimately, like I don't know on some of those picks. Like, is that a new receiver you had to put in when Daniels went out? Like, did he run the wrong route or something? I don't know. But like clearly, like 3 picks is not covering yourself in glory there if you're Nussmeier after a huge first half. I mean, the guy threw for what 405. I mean, that's
405. Yep.
It's not nothing, but obviously 3 picks kills you.
Yeah, I mean, Nussmeier did not play well, and I think I talked about this during the week. They don't try to run the ball. They don't seem interested in even bothering to pretend they're going to run the ball. If you look at their balance tonight, Nussmeier dropped back and threw 50 times. He was sacked twice. So they had 52 dropbacks to 21 rushes. That's not a great ratio, especially when you're on the road in that stadium and your quarterback's clearly rattled. He keeps making terrible decisions. He's running for his life in the pocket. He's not getting much protection and he's making terrible throws. Take some of the damn pressure off of him. Hand it off. Run the ball. They didn't want to do it. They never want to do it. And it just kind of allowed things to, snowball and avalanche. Texas A&M's pass rush got great in the second half because they didn't care about stopping the run. They were just pinning their ears back and going to get them. They're like, all right, cool, let's go. And then offensively, I mean, I was joking earlier, but clearly Connor Wegman did not play well. You bring in Marcel Reed. He just completely changes the game plan of what you're going to do. It gives the offense a jolt. It changes things around. It was kind of a spark for him. I think that if you look at this team, though, they are still led by their defense. I think the defense won them the game tonight. Marcel Reed was great. He came in and he made plays and he helped them score points, but it was forcing those turnovers. It was getting on Nussmeier's ass. It was doing all of that stuff that won the game for the Aggies, and it's why they are where they are right now, where they're at the top of the SEC competing to get to Atlanta for the championship game. So this was a great performance for the Aggies. Like, I think back to that opener against Notre Dame, and this team looks entirely different. And it's not just because of the Wegman to Reed thing. I just think the defense was great that night, but I also felt like Notre Dame's offense was just horrible. I think the defense is genuinely playing really well right now. So this is a team that's playing really good going into the final month of the season and is kind of poised to maybe do something kind of special.
Getting to the SEC title game would be special. Texas A&M has not done that. I mean, the SEC lifespan is very small, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's right there for them. So, credit to Mike Elko. I mean, this is going to sound like a huge shock. I think Mike Elko can coach up some defense. I know that's a real stretch. I know that's a hot take, but not totally stunned at that one.
Duke's going for 2.
Going for 2 in the win.
Yep.
They're going to get it. What do you think? Come on, let's all bet right now.
I don't think they get it.
I love the call though.
Timeout. Well, yeah. I mean, you're going to have to go for 2 beginning with the next overtime. So if you have a 2-point play that you love, why don't you run it and never give SMU the opportunity to run the 2-point play they love?
Right.
Like there's probably one 2-point play that you rep in practice quite a bit. Run it now.
And with Malik Murphy, it should have options.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's not a great runner, but like he is big. So like down there, he could barrel his way in.
Hard to tackle.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, out in space, give him the choice. And don't worry, you're just asking a college kid at 11:43 p.m. to make the right decision. What could go wrong?
Not a damn thing.
Look, I mean, you got to key the read in the right way. You got to make sure the receiver doesn't get bumped off his track. Like there's a lot of stuff that could go wrong, Chip.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could go wrong. Just go ask Garrett Nussmeier. Anything else from the game? I mean, sloppy, like both sides.
Yeah,
like a lot of dumb penalties. I made the joke that Brian Kelly was going to bang the table again, and then right after they showed the clip of him banging the table again because it's yet another scenario of LSU being unable to put an opponent away in part because of their own mistakes. So Take that as a narrative, spin it forward. LSU doesn't play next week. They're back in action hosting Alabama. We'll get to the Crimson Tide maybe in a little bit. That game was just sad. I don't have a lot of like strong takes there, but I still think that LSU the rest of the way can course correct after what was a bad second half in College Station.